Okay, I want to look at another type of problem involving the normal distribution that you're likely to see on the self-test. And this one is similar to the first video that I did. The difference being here, when we look at the setup of the problem, again, we need to find a missing parameter and we need to figure out what's the picture of the situation. The difference being this time that we're given the standard deviation, and this time we're looking for the mean. So now the process is kind of similar. We're given roughly the same amount of information, but not the same information. So we don't know the mean, so when I look at these plots, I don't know where is the center, and these plots don't really tell me the center. Or yeah, they show me a line that represents the center, but the 110 that's shown here doesn't have anything to do with the center, so I don't know the mean. I do know, however, that 70% of the area under this curve is below 110. Now 70% below 110, that means my shaded area has to be below 110, so it can't be this one because the shaded area is above. It can't be this one because the shaded area is above. So that leaves me with B and C. Okay, these have a shaded area below the 110, but my shaded area has to be 50%. Now, on a normal distribution, 100% of the area lies under the curve, but the curve is symmetric, and that means 50% of the area lies to the left and 50% of the area lies to the right. The answer cannot be this one, because this one, if I look at the shaded area right here, this shaded area is something, whatever it is, it's less than 50%. It's certainly not 70%. On the other hand, when I look at this one, then 50% of my area is below the mean, which is this line right here. And then if I add the other little bit of shaded area over on this side, well then yeah, that looks like it could be 70%. This is going to be the answer. Alright, now I want to try and find the mean. And we're going to do this one very similar to what we did the last time. So I've already worked out my little formula here, and I know it's shaded, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Here's our formula for the z-score, and hang on, I'm going to bring this over here so you can get a better sense of this. Here's my formula for the z-score, and z is what connects the mean and the standard deviation in x. I'm taking this formula and I'm solving it this time for the mean, for mu. So I've cross-multiplied, and then I brought the x over, and remember when you bring the x over, you got to subtract it from both sides, and that leaves me with a negative mu, and now I got to multiply everything by a negative. So I've got it solved for mu, and this is the formula. Now the x value in this case is 110. We're told in the problem that the standard deviation, by the way, is 5.2, but I don't know z. So this requires me to go to my Minitab. So let me get that up again. Alright, so we're going to go back into probability distribution plot, view the probability. We're going to use the standard normal distribution. No point using this because I don't know the mean. I go to shaded area. This time the shaded area I'm interested in is 0.7 because I want 70% of the area, and the area had to be below the 110. So that means it's got to be an area to the left. So if I click OK to this, what Minitab is telling me here now is if my Z is 0.5244, and again, I told you guys in the last video, yeah, Minitab calls it X, but it's really Z. When your Z score is 0.5244, the area to the left of it will be 0.7 or 70%. So alright, I'm going to use the 0.5244, write that down, and come back over here into my formula. Okay, so the x value that I'm looking at is 110 minus a z-score of 0.5244 times the standard deviation, which in that problem was, oh hang on now, I gotta find it. In that problem, the standard deviation was given as 5.2. Alright, and then again, I get out my calculator. What have I done with my calculator? Hang on a minute. Okay, so I've worked this out on my calculator, and, oops, hang on. And it turns out that my answer is approximately 107.3. Okay, so 107.3, that looks okay. But let me see if that makes sense when I look at my picture and my problem. So, if my mean is 107.3, and I think we said the answer was going to be this one right here, then yeah, the mean is 107.3, which is below that 110, so that makes sense. Area above that 110, in this case, turns out to be 70%. So this problem is pretty similar to the last one, except that you're solving for a different variable, but in each case, you need to go to your standard normal distribution, use either tables or Minitab, and find z-scores that correspond to the areas that you're given in the problem, and then work it out according to the formula for the z-score. You're either solving for mu or you're solving for sigma.